Hey friend, this is episode number 564 of the ANSO podcast with Taylor Bradford. Let's get to it. Boss Girl Creative presents ANSO with Taylor Bradford, business and life musings from a successful serial entrepreneur. Each week, you will hear Taylor spill the tea on all things business, life, relationships, health, and everything in between. But don't worry, each week also includes a business nugget that will help you stay on course. And now a throwback to 3-year-old Taylor who inspired all of this.
ANSO.
Hello, beautiful human. Thank you so much for pressing play. This is episode number 564. I am your host, Taylor Bradford. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to be talking about the black coffee rule today in today's business nugget. It's going to be a good one. But before we get there, let's talk about ManyChat, which is who I am collaborating with right now. And ManyChat is making my life so much easier over on Instagram. And I just realized I might need to start it on Facebook because I have gained over 2,400 followers in like 2 weeks on my Facebook page. And it is a platform that I'm not actively trying to grow. It is just auto posting from Instagram, but it started taking off, I think, last week. And I quickly gained traction over there. It's really wild. And I'm having to auto link people. Every comment I'm having to auto link. So it's making me rethink, maybe I should add ManyChat over to Facebook to kind of help me out. But for now, it is my magic sauce over on Instagram. It is saying hello to every new follower that I receive. And then it is also responding to the keywords that people are asking on my or commenting on my reels and doing the hard work for me. So if you want to let somebody else, a robot, a magical little piece of software, do some heavy lifting for you, why don't you give them a shot? It's free to try out for 14 days. Go to bossgirlcreative.com/ManyChat, that's spelled MANYCHAT, to get that started ASAP. It's really been such a lifesaver. Okay, what has been going on in my world? I am still under the weather. It is wild to me that I'm still struggling this many weeks past when I took antibiotics for a sinus infection, but it has not gone away. I'm still struggling with it. It is crazy that we are this far out and I still have problems. The pollen is out of control. Okay, what did I get to do this past week? I was able to finally hill my rows in my garden, and I got half of my irrigation installed in those hilled rows, and I should be able to finish this week and get started on my planting. I was really hoping to finish on Sunday, but I had a muscle in my left arm starting at my elbow that it was like a permanent Charlie horse, and it wouldn't go away, and it was to the level of I wanted to cry. It was that painful. And I feel like I have a pretty high pain tolerance, so it was really bogging me down. So I was not able to get as much accomplished as I wanted to on Sunday. Saturday, we had our birthday party for my nephew who turns 2 this week. And so I knew Saturday was kind of like a decommissioned garden day. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to knock it out on Sunday. And then, yeah, my body was like, no, you're not. Growing older has its challenges. Okay, so the house, we are working on installing the hanger doors. So we actually put kind of the structure of it together on Sunday and got most of it bolted down. Now they're doing some additions to the actual framing of our building. And then we should be able to literally raise it like a barn. When you hear the phrase, let's raise a barn, that is actually they build it on the ground and then they raise it up and connect it all together. So I think they are going to raise it tomorrow and get that installed. And then we can put the zip system, install the zip system, and then get the metal put on it. So that would be so amazing if that happens. And we should be finished with everything metal, everything exterior that's metal in the next 2 weeks, fingers crossed. And then we can start working more on the interior and getting that all closed in. So TBD. I was really hoping we might be in by June, but I don't think that is going to happen. Okay, books. I have not finished anything, but I'm reading some fun stuff right now. And so I look forward to being able to say, you need to read this book and add it to your pile next. Let's talk about my course. I'm still holding at 8 total sales. I did do some tweaking yesterday on my checkout page. I adjusted the headline and also kind of like the blurb after the headline. And I'm going to work on like driving another 500 page views with this new change and see if I can break loose. I don't know. It's been like 14, 15 days since my last sale. So I know what I do know. What I do know is that we're still in a period of gardening for most people where we aren't dealing with pests. And my solution is to control them organically or to stop them organically, which actually starts with the foundation of your garden. But people don't think that. They don't think prevention. They actually do a lot more reacting in their gardens. So I believe my course will pick up once people start dealing with pests. And yeah, so I kind of wish I would have had something that started on the front side of gardening, but here we are. I was trying to solve a very specific issue in the garden where I felt there was a lack, and I know that it is a good product, but there's still this waiting game for people to want it, for it to be a no-brainer. And I don't think we're there yet because the majority of people aren't dealing with bugs just yet, although it's coming. It is for sure coming. Okay, so like I said, I'm trying out some new angles on my course checkout page. And if I don't get that movement in the next 500 page views that I want to drive, I will be asking for some feedback soon in a couple of the groups I'm in. But I have to say, I'm killing it. I'm going to, pat myself on the back here. I'm killing it on Instagram. I will hit in the next couple of hours 10,000 followers on Instagram, literally in the next couple of hours. And that means 60 days. When I started this journey, it's been 60 days that I've gained 8,124 followers. And the metrics on that are 55% coming from my ads and 45% is coming from my content. Now, I will say, last week, I felt a slowdown and my content was still landing. So that meant one of my ad sets. So it's called an ad, and then you have creatives in and as an ad set, and then, it's called an ad, then an ad set, then your creatives. So when I say ad, I actually have 5 creatives running in the ad. I felt fatigue in the very first interest-based ad that I started. And so I went through all of my content. I went back and captured all of the reels that I had posted at the 30-day mark. So I think I was like February 4th, February 5th. So I went back and caught up to about February 26th. This is about 4 days ago. And I captured the link. I captured the likes, the comments, the shares, the saves. I captured what the percentage of non-follower viewers was. I captured how many views it got. I captured how many followers I gained from that piece of content. And I went through and analyzed in order to come up with another 5 creatives to start a whole new ad. So I started a whole new ad, interest-based targeting still, added those 5 new creatives in and set that to go live. It went live. I waited, I think, 24 hours before I started to see the money being spent. And once I started to see the money being spent, I turned the ad that I thought was fatiguing, I turned it off. So we are about 2 days now as of this recording, 2 days in, and I gained almost 250 followers. So it was fatiguing me to about 120-ish followers instead of 200. And then when I made the change, I hit 200, I think it was like 242-ish new followers. So that's a good thing. And that happens in ads. Now, I am not chasing this particular ad type with money. I just want to spend the $8 a day per campaign. So it's a total of $16 a day, and let that just be the thing that I'm doing. I'm not chasing it to spend more money to keep the ad moving, in the sense that I might do it on the product side, like selling my actual product. So I don't want to get crazy with the spend on trying to get people access to who I am on Instagram, which is what this particular ads are doing. And so I will say, as of right now, with those 8 sales, I'm still I think I've spent like $500 total in those 60 days on ads. And I'm like almost around 200 in the hole still, which is fine. I knew that going in. Eventually, my sales will catapult me over and I will be in the positive, right? And so right now, from the ad spend itself, I'm in the whole 200. Now that I'm not taking in consideration what I'm spending on Samcart or what I'm spending on Kajabi, it is strictly what I'm spending on ads and what I've made in course sales so far. So that is that. Let's get into search bar confessions. And honestly, all of my search bar confessions in the last week have been garden content. I'm having some of the best conversations in my DMs with people, gardeners from all over. And I like to hear, what are your favorite varieties to grow? And people are telling me things I've never heard of. And so I'm going to Google and I'm like, what does this look like? I don't even know. So it's been so fun to go to Google and get taught something. So a lot of I went through, I say that. There were a few things that I Googled that I'm not allowed to share because now I'm under an NDA, and that's a whole nother story and has nothing to do with gardening. So we're just going to leave it at that. But so many gardening questions have been just my Google lately. Okay, let us get into this week's business nugget, and it is the black coffee rule. And I'm going to talk about this, and then I'm going to talk about what I've been experiencing with my gardening journey and making this kind of big pivot into gardening content, becoming a gardening influencer. But I'm always in education mode, right? So when I spend time on Instagram, it is really not about the scroll and just mindlessly scrolling. I am in the Reels feed and I am looking at what are the hooks? Is this trending audio? How well is this doing? And just getting inspiration. And so I'm scrolling. I'm trying to build up more music for my Reels. And what I have been, this is like a random hat tip. What I have been finding to be true for me and my Reels is picking audios that have over 100,000 uses already. And the more the merrier. But they still have to be trending. So if the little arrow is pointing, diagonally up to the right, and it has over 100,000, preferably even more than that, I will pick that sound. That is working for me. I tried forever to do the, under 10,000 uses, and then you might go viral. I never had anything go viral doing that. And so I don't even attempt that game. I have found what is working for me. And again, this may not be a replicatable thing, but it's something for sure you to test, is audio that is trending but has already over 100,000 uses. So just a little hat tip there. So I'm scrolling and I'm getting all kinds of things thrown at me because I'm engaging with all kinds of content. And this one is hat tip to JennaO'Keefe.co on Instagram. Her hook is, I've interviewed over 75 successful women. The one thing they all have in common, something called the black coffee rule. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. So here is what it is. So her caption says, she didn't talk about strategy. She didn't mention investments or networking. She pointed at her coffee. Black, no milk, no sugar. And she said something I think about every single day. I stopped adding sugar to things that were bitter. I thought she was talking about the coffee. She wasn't. She called it the black coffee rule. She said most people spend their lives sweetening things that don't deserve it. Bad relationships, they add sugar. Tell themselves it's not that bad. Wrong jobs, they add sugar. Convince themselves it'll get better. People who drain them, they add sugar. Make excuses, keep tolerating. The sugar makes it drinkable, but drinkable isn't the same as good. Here's the part that hit me. The most successful people don't add sugar. They taste things as they are, and if it's bitter, they stop drinking. When she said that, I looked at my own life. I thought about everything I'd been tolerating because I'd made it sweeter. The friendships I dressed up as complicated instead of calling them draining. The situations I'd labeled challenging instead of admitting they were wrong for me. I wasn't being patient. I was being poisoned slowly, one sugared sip at a time. Here's what I know now. You're allowed to stop sweetening things that are bitter. You are allowed to taste the truth of what you are tolerating. You are allowed to put the cup down and walk away because the right things don't need sugar. They are already good enough to swallow. So I actually sent that to my sister-in-law because she is going through a hard time in her life. But it got me thinking. So I've switched to this gardening niche, right? And I have been in it for, 1.5 years officially. And I've learned a lot. I know who is a competitor. I know what accounts are out there. I know what is going on in the world of gardening. And I know what is going on in just the world in general and how important I feel it is to share how accessible gardening is no matter where you live. And as I'm thinking about what Jenna writes and her interviewing of people and talking about this black coffee rule and knowing I don't have to tolerate nonsense. I don't have to tolerate people yelling at me. I got yelled at for the size of my cucumber on Facebook. I was blown out of the water that you could have an opinion on somebody's produce. And I was simply talking about companion plants for cucumbers. And it led down the road of somebody else chiming in saying, oh yeah, I totally agree. Her plants are going to die. And I responded to both of them. Listen, I don't have the space to have you occupy anything negatively in my world. I will either delete it or I will respond in a way that challenges you for responding to me that way. And so I responded to her and said, was this meant, well, first of all, I said, according to whom? Because she said your cucumbers are too big. According to whom? And was this comment meant to be helpful or hurtful because I feel attacked? And then the next person was a gentleman. And I said the same thing. According to whom? On the size of cucumbers. And also, was this comment meant to be helpful or hurtful because it felt like an attack as well? He was still online and responded back to me and mansplained to me about his 20 plus years gardening journey. And I just wrote back and said, I'm glad to hear you have a vast, many years of gardening experience. But according to whom my cucumbers are too big? Like, I was zoomed in on the plant and my hands are small. So like, who is the garden police? I had nobody make any such comment to me in my farm stand. And yeah, it's just really wild. Like, it's really wild. So Facebook has been eye-opening with some comments. I had one lady yell at me for not being able to see the text on the screen. And I was like, whoa. I mean, like, I created this on Instagram and you could see it fine. Here's a screenshot from Instagram. But oh, by the way, you can go to my Facebook page and see it without issue. But for whatever reason, in the Reels feed on Facebook right now, they don't black out the text or white out the text. So they don't give you a solid background like they do on Instagram. So it's like, where are you watching? That is what is directing how you see something. And I'll have random people say, well, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, did you not read the caption? Have you been living under a rock? Like, no, I don't say that back. But I do say, did you see the caption? And just move on my merry way. But when I get comments that don't feel in alignment or don't help contribute to the conversation or detract or are hateful, I don't have time for them. Delete. Goodbye. Like, I had somebody on Instagram leave a comment that said, I think it must have been one of my ads that is like, hey, you just found a Southern gardener, follow along or something like that. And she was like, oh, so you are just getting everybody to follow along, but you don't play back? And I'm like, I don't have time for you. Delete. I'm following 601 humans on my Instagram that I find valuable. And if I find you in my search of content, and see value in what you are producing, I'll follow you, but not in the game of followers. Like, I'm literally spending money to get my account in front of people. And if they follow, great. If they don't, we aren't meant to be in each other's worlds, but it's not going to be me following everybody else back just because. Like, that makes no sense. And so obviously this black coffee rule goes way more into like, what are you allowing in your personal world? What are you allowing in your business that does not serve you, but you feel like you have to show up for it? What are you allowing in your relationships? What are you allowing in your own mind? And I think this particular like Instagram post that I saw, I was like, wow. It wasn't like hey, this is your permission slip to go fix these things or go alter these things. But it was just like a fresh reminder that you are in total control of what you allow and what you don't, what you give your energies to and what you reserve them for. And I think it's just a lovely reminder, very, very stark reminder that we should all be drinking black coffee in our worlds because it is bitter. And if we don't like bitter, we set it down and we walk away. We don't add the sugar. We don't sugarcoat anything. And I think sometimes that is where we stumble. We think we have to sugarcoat something to make us palatable to someone else, when the actuality is you don't have to. I'm going to go back to one of my longtime sayings. I've said this forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Roll out your own red carpet. Beat to your own drum, because no one else is going to do that for you. And so I want you to remember, as you're moving through your day-to-day, in your business world, in your life world, in your relationship world, in your actual, how you feed yourself, whether that is through education or through real food or through what you're consuming. Is it bitter? And if it is, set it down. I am giving you that permission. So again, thank you, Jenna, for this beautiful reminder. It is so valid, and it is mind-boggling, again, to be in this new niche that I have been exploring for a while, that I'm seeing the cups of black coffee come at me, and I'm like, and nope, and nope. And it's like Ross on Friends, pivot. You get that permission slip every single time you want it. And you don't need me to say that here's your permission slip. You just need to set down the cup of black coffee and move on. It's as simple as that. And I realize it is not as simple as that, but it really is as simple as that. Set the bitter coffee down and move on. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And until next time, just set down that cup of bitter black coffee. And like my 3-year-old self said, that is all for this week. Friendly reminder to rate and review my show wherever you are listening. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me an audio message at bossgirlcreative.com/speak. I would love to hear your takeaways, ideas for upcoming episode topics, and your feedback. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one.